Hey everybody, how you doing? My name is Ryan Schleining. Currently a firefighter paramedic for Spokane County Fire District 4. Doing this presentation for Columbia Southern University, class 3305. Today what I'm going to talk to you about is kind of a little bit about fire extinguishers. Go over the classifications, ratings, and then ultimately how we're going to use these devices in real life application. So first off, you might think about how and what a fire extinguisher can extinguish. So it's broken down into 5 different classifications. First, we have our Class A fires, ordinary combustibles, wood, paper, kind of day-to-day house items that you might see, as well as around the businesses that could be, readily susceptible to fire. So with these extinguishers, they're going to come in a couple different varieties. You have your standard water cans that is just pressurized water within usually a 5-gallon can, and this is exactly what it is. It's just water. Next one, you might have a foam agent added to that water. It just helps the viscosity and the overall ability to smother the fire. And then last is your a dry chemical, which acts similar. It's just not wet, it's dry. And it's just designed to cover the base of the fire and remove the oxygen from the heat that ultimately will break that fire tetrahedron. Next one is Class B. These are more for flammable liquids. You might see these around gas stations, anywhere, mechanic shops, stuff like that, where flammable liquids would come into play. We're talking about either like gas or ether, alcohols, and certain types of grease. Again, these are going to come in a variety of different agents. You'll have your foam agent, kind of an aqueous film forming foam that just forms a layer right over the top of the liquid, removes the oxygen. They can come in CO2 driven, again, so it's just pushing the oxygen out of the fire area. And then they'll also come in as another dry chemical. Other types of suppression systems that might be considered Class B are halon and clean agent. Sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself. That's Class C fires. Dry chem. Next is Class C. These are just designed for extinguishing fires that are around energized electrical equipment. So computer rooms, anywhere that there might be transformers, high energy, and these are going to come in a couple different varieties. You can have a water base, but it's going to be a mist, so it's not going to allow that transmission of electricity through the water, so it'll come down in a mist. You'll have a CO2. They can be kind of messy around electrical equipment, so while applicable, it may cause some damage. And then ultimately, the best ones that we talk about are halon or clean agent types. And this is just basically a gaseous form that smothers the oxygen out of the environment. And it also presents a little bit of a hazard to individuals that are within that area because it can be an asphyxiant. Next one is Class D. These are more for flammable metals, magnesium, sodium, potassium. They come in a powder form. When you add water to these types of fires, it just rapidly evaporates it, so it actually gives it more oxygen to burn. So these are just a dry powder that will go and cover and remove the oxygen from the fire. And the last one you're going to see is a Class K. These are going to be more geared towards restaurants, primarily used for animal fat, animal grease, vegetable oils, anywhere that some type of oil or a liquid fat is put into a high heat state. Once it catches fire, It will use a wet chemical to basically cover and create that foam layer or a film layer over the top of the grease, removing the oxygen from the fire. So once you've determined your classification, next it's good to know the rating. So you might see a 20A, a 2A, or a 40-B. All these are going to be more towards those ordinary combustibles and liquid combustibles. So those Class A, Class B settings. On the Class A setting or side, you'll see a 1A, a 2A, or a 20A, 30A. These are all looking at the poundage versus how much they will expel. Next, you'll see Class B extinguishers, and they'll have a 40-B. Now these ones are a little bit more unique in the aspect of the number that you see prior to the classification is the amount of square footage that is anticipated to be extinguished by the non-experienced personnel using it or person using it. So in a 40-B, you would expect that about 40 square feet of flammable liquid could be extinguished by a non-trained, just kind of your lay responder that goes out and does it. Once we talk about people that do have training, that have trained on it, and that continuously or that keep up that training, that number actually doubles. So you're looking, for a 40-B, you'd be looking at 80 square feet rather than that 40 square feet. So there's kind of some breakdowns of both the classification and the ratings of the fire extinguisher. And ultimately the big question is, how do we use it and how do we use it appropriately? Great acronym that I use all the time, especially when I'm teaching people that don't know anything about fire extinguishers, is just remember to PASS. So PASS stands for pull, aim, squeeze, and sweep. So the first thing we're going to do, what you want to do is you want to remove your extinguisher. Make sure that you're using the proper extinguisher for the right type of fire. Majority of the time, just due to the jurisdictional standards, both state and federal, kind of building code, the appropriate fire extinguisher should be located where it's ideally going to be used. So if you're dealing around ordinary combustibles, you should have a Class A. If you have liquid combustibles, you should have a Class B, that type of stuff. So once you've identified that, next thing you want to do is there's a little dial gauge on the top of the extinguisher. It should have some have a red and then a green margin, some have a white and then a green margin. Just make sure that little dial indicator is within the green. That's telling you there's enough pressure in the extinguisher system that it will activate and be used appropriately. After you've got all that done, what we're going to do is we're going to pull that safety pin. And basically what that does, it engages the plunger that will allow the handle to depress, expelling whatever agent's inside. So you're going to pull that pin. You're going to aim your nozzle. What we're looking for is the base of the fire. So, even a small liquid gas fire can put up 3 to 5 foot flames. That's not what we're looking to extinguish. We want to go to that heat source and wherever that heat source is originating from. So whether it's on the ground, whether it's on the counter, anything like that, we're going to go directly to the base of that fire, aim that nozzle, and then we're going to squeeze. Most fire extinguisher systems, especially the smaller ones that business location stuff like that are utilized for immediate use. You're just going to have a handle. You're going to just squeeze it, just kind of like a gas pump in reverse, all the way down. Keep it there, keep it held, and you're going to start just a nice steady sweeping motion. You're just going to go side to side. Start at the very front, and as you're working, you're going to just continuously overlap, working farther and farther back into the seat of that fire until ultimately, hopefully, your objective is complete and the fire is extinguished. The most important aspect of it is keep your back to an exit. Make sure you always have a place to go, and reevaluate as you're doing it. Don't just sit there and put an extinguishing agent on a very large fire. If you know that you can't do it, or if 10, 15 seconds in, nothing looks like it's going to change, get yourself out of there, get yourself to a safe place, call 911, make sure that the fire department's coming. So, all right, guys. Well, I hope you enjoyed this little tutorial on fire extinguishers, the rating, classifications, and ultimately how to use it. And you have a great day.